I got a lot of compliments in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru.
Oh.
Three of the workers said, wow, it's a beautiful car.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's a car for Chick-fil-A employees.
I'm sure Toyota would love that.
Hey everybody, it's Chris and Charlie here with Daily Motor, and we're going to go out and take a spin in the 2023, I assume?
Yes. Yep.
Lexus IS500, as you probably already know because you read the title. Look at that crispy silver color.
Iridium silver.
Iridium silver. That's the first time we got a Lexus IS. It was in this color.
Yeah.
And
it's got red interior as well.
Nice. I love the way this car looks. How many sedans, especially compact sedans, can you get these days with a V8?
I think one.
Is it this?
Yes.
Excellent. Good deal. 5-liter V8 underneath the hood here.
472 horsepower, 395 pound-feet of torque, limited slip diff, 8-speed automatic.
You know, that's actually the perfect amount of horsepower.
It is.
Because out of all the thousands of cars I've ever driven, I've come to this, it's not just me, there's other people who have iterated this as well, but high 4s, low 5s, depending on the type of car, is the perfect amount of power for the street. You can't use any more than that without being incredibly illegal or roasting all of your tires.
Yeah.
And under that, it feels a little bit overwhelming typically. But this is...
I really like what they did with this car, because obviously it's not a full F. It's the IS500. And I actually found out at this whole Lexus thing I did this past week, which we'll talk about while we're on the road, that they kind of developed this car under the wraps, like kind of like low-key.
Those are always the best cars.
Because they were scared if they kind of like went all in right away and went to the high ups and were like, we're going to put a V8 in the IS. They would be like, no, go F yourself.
Sure.
So they developed this, and not until they had a very close to finished product did they present it.
Okay.
And it got approval.
I want to take a look at that. Beating hard under there.
So this is essentially the same 5-liter that you get in any of the other Lexus V8s.
Sure.
It actually makes 1 more horsepower than the LC500, which makes 471.
Probably exhaust related.
Probably.
Yeah, that's kind of funny though. It is a bit of a shame that you can literally get a 5-liter V8 in a compact sedan from Toyota Motor Group, but not in the full-size Tundra pickup truck.
Well, this is better.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You'd think I'd like to have this in pretty much everything they make. Corolla
This is
Cross.
a great engine. Corolla Cross.
Perfect.
Corolla Cross 500 F Sport Performance. Oh,
people would buy them. Would you pay $60,000 for a Corolla Cross with a 5-liter V8?
I think so, because it would like wheelie. Also unique to the IS500 is this bulging hood.
Yes, bulging.
Which is cool.
It's not the only thing that gets bulging when you look at
That is true.
Yeah.
You also get normally Enki wheels.
Okay.
But this has the optional BBSs, which are black.
Yes. Easy to clean too.
Yeah, I kind of like the standard wheels
Enki.
better.
Yeah.
These are cool looking.
I'm never a big fan of painted black wheels.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Show
I'm not
things
a big
off
fan of the black.
Yeah. Well, let's get you behind the wheel first.
Oh, am I driving
and we'll
first?
flip-flop.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're essentially a professional at driving these now. Not a professional at unlocking the doors, but a professional at driving them. You notice the speaker girls kind of look like the Beats Audio
They
symbol?
do. So this actually has, and there's a bunch of Chris droppings in here, so
Of
don't
course.
look in the back seat.
Okay.
But this has the Mark Levinson,
Yes.
which I don't think
Pretty
you've
good.
reviewed, so maybe you should do that today.
I've reviewed an IS Mark Levinson.
Oh, have you? Okay, so
but
never
maybe
mind.
not this one.
I think it's like A tier.
Yeah.
It's pretty
makes
strong.
sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So I got an email last week from Lexus
Oh, did you?
saying, would you like to go down to the performance driving school at Mid-Ohio?
Oh.
We'll give you an IS500 and we'll put you
had
up
you
in a
at that.
hotel. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I said yes. And so I've been driving this now since Thursday, so I've been driving it for about 3 days.
Okay.
And I drove it 300 miles round trip to Ohio and back, and I'll have a road trip video on Topher Drives if you want to see that.
Sure.
But it was a pretty good experience.
I
Like
bet.
this is one of those cars where you're glad they didn't give it the full F treatment.
Sure.
Because it's still usable day to day, and it's so quiet. Like
This is totally livable.
it's like whisper quiet
Yeah.
when you're just driving it. Until you get to about 2,800 RPM, a flap opens of some sort. And I think it's intake related. I don't think the exhaust is valved or anything. But
Okay.
you'll see when it gets to like 2,800, it just like, you hear the V8 and it's excellent. And you can rev it all the way out to 7,250, and it's got the really good...
Classic Lexus.
Yeah. So it's all really good.
And the viewers should know that you are a Lexus IS owner.
I am.
So you have a little bit more connection to a car like this.
That's right. So I bought a Lexus IS when I graduated high school in 2003 with a 5-speed manual. So, and I still have it.
Yeah.
So I've owned it now I bought it when I was 18, so I've owned it for like 6 years, almost 7 years.
Wow, yeah, I've never owned a car that long.
Yeah. Yeah, I got close to selling it a couple times, but I'm glad I didn't because it has appreciated quite a bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, smart move there.
yeah.
Yeah, this is so far just a very livable daily driver car. Drive into the office.
Yep. So
and get yourself there. Oh,
right there.
Yes, immediately.
Yeah.
Very, very pronounced.
It's very distinguishable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. But I mean, it's so quiet. NVH is great. The ride is nice.
Yeah, you probably haven't had any of those annoying little creaks and squeaks and rattles.
Actually, I have.
Oh.
But only when you have the stereo on.
Oh.
This panel over here on the driver's door panel rattles.
Ah.
So.
A bit unfortunate.
But it could have something to do with me having it at 50 for 300 miles.
That could be it. Rear-wheel drive only in this, so you do probably get a good amount of feedback from the rear tires swirling around.
Yeah. Good amount of torque. It's got quite a bit less torque than it does horsepower, so you got to rev it out, get up above 6,000 RPM to really feel it pull.
But that's satisfying.
You've got Sport and Sport S Plus. You've got manual mode. And it'll rip downshifts.
Oh, I bet.
All right, we're going to get ahead of this Raptor here.
Boy, does that pull.
It's
wow.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Also, can we point out, no piano black that you would touch.
Correct.
Yes. It's totally okay to have piano black here. You can have as much piano black on the dash as you want, but it's good not to have it here. And we've got this brushed plastic aluminum look here, and then all of this plastic. Very smart, Lexus. You thought he would be in the right lane, but he wasn't. Gosh, I'm sure just every rule stoplight that you left, you were just...
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because when you're out in mid-Ohio, there's nothing.
Yeah. You also did some autocrossing in this, didn't you?
Yes, well, not this exact car,
Sure.
but yeah, some IS500s. They actually had an orange one out there.
Ooh.
You know, like the F orange?
Yeah, orange.
Yeah.
Was it fairly balanced out on the track?
Yeah.
Is this one of those products from Lexus and Toyota where you have to come to a total stop to turn traction and stability control off?
I don't know.
Can you do it while rolling?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I haven't tried. It's looking like you have to come to a stop. We did autocross with it. And my first couple of days in this car, I was kind of just like, oh, you can hear that.
Can't hear that
creak.
a little bit, yes.
Yeah. I was under the impression that this car is really good at 10/10ths when you're just ripping it and bouncing off the rev limiter, and it's great at 1/10 when you're just driving around town. But I was curious to see how it was going to be.
Ooh, took that rough ride really well. And you're in Sport Plus.
And I'm in Sport Plus, yeah. Oh, it's the Federales.
All right, well, it's just the airport police. They don't matter.
But it felt pretty good on autocross. The only thing I didn't like about it is they made us keep stability control on.
Oh.
And it was
killing
everything. It was killing it. And the throttle response, and you'll see this when you get behind the wheel here in a second, you gotta mash the throttle to get anything. So you had to find this really very, very slight balance in between flooring it and having it cut all the power and having your foot just get lost in that gas pedal. So it was a really weird kind of sensation.
Okay.
But as far as turning, it was pretty flat. It felt a little heavy. It wasn't the greatest car for autocross.
Do you know curb weight off the top of your head? I assume probably about 35?
38.
Ooh, 38.
Yeah,
So a bit porky.
pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a big hunk of iron and aluminum up front.
So.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. The real fun was the RCF on the skid pad.
Yeah, that RCF is underrated.
Yeah, the RCF is cool.
It's the best thing about, if you were to buy one of these, you could have it for 20 years and daily drive it every day.
Yes.
And it'd be totally fine.
And this is not going to sound impressive on the front of all sports sedans in this segment, but I was getting about 27 mpg, which for a 5-liter V8, and I was averaging higher speeds than we normally average for highway fuel economy.
Were you?
EPA, allegedly. EPA on this car, I think, is 25 highway.
Okay.
So it did about 27. I think if you were to average 70 to 72, you could probably do 28, 28 and a half.
Right.
But, you know, when you're thinking about an M340i, is going to get like 37.
Yeah, I mean, I think
like
it all
10
comes down
mpg
to,
better.
if you lease an M340i, yes, it'll be cheaper in the short run, but if you were to purchase both of those cars, the money that you spend in extra fuel on this, you would save in repair costs and ownership costs.
Definitely.
With this motor.
Yeah. So, okay.
What is the as-tested price?
$66,000.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible at all. And let me, I don't know if I've...
Make sure that's saved for you.
How do you do this on Lexuses?
Probably, is there a set button below?
Yeah, I think I did it. I'm not worried about it, though, if it doesn't
Take
work.
a quick look in the trunk.
No Chris droppings in there. It's surprising.
Decent sized trunk for the size of vehicle, you know.
Yeah, and a accessory mat that says Lexus.
Yes, you could probably put a set of golf clubs right in there.
Oh, of course. That's what this car is for.
Yes. Ooh, a lot of bolstering to the driver's seat.
Something I really like about this car, and we kind of touched on it earlier, how it didn't get the full F treatment, is it's so low key. It's like you look at the outside of it, and the only things that really tell you it's the 500 are the hood and the quad exhaust tips.
Right.
It's like
Very
just standard IS.
What's cool is that, like, in 15 years, you'll drive by, and you'll be going down the highway or whatever, and one of these will go by you, and you'll break your neck going, I think that was a 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I like the size of the wheel, both the diameter and the thickness. Is it an open diff?
No, it's limited slip.
It's a bit strange.
Yeah, that was weird. Maybe it's broken.
Well, it's driving pretty well for being broken. Actually, I take that back. I don't like the thickness here of the wheel, but I like the thinness, like, on the top. But it's kind of hard to grab it at 9 and 3.
Yeah.
10 and 2 is great.
Yeah. Well, most will... Okay. Feels faster from over here.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
I love the sound of that 5-liter.
It's so unique.
Yeah.
Oh, and see, when you don't have to wait for a turbo to build up, you got...
It's just...
You got that... if it holds gear. Here we go. Just right there.
Not only is this the only V8 in this segment, I think, but even if there were another V8 in this segment, it would be turbocharged.
Right.
There's no way anyone would have an NA V8.
And what I was saying
Such a pleasure to
earlier about that 400, the high 400 range being the best amount of horsepower, is it's just enough that, yeah, you get it in a 3,800 pound car like this, and you have to work for it a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't just have immediately illegal speeds daily driving.
Dropping down to 3 mpg.
Yes. I love how Lexuses cannot stop telling you that your traction control's off. So I've dismissed it.
Be careful. Be careful.
And within 15 seconds, it'll come back up and be like, you just remember, it's still off.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure this is on purpose? I just love this car. Be curious your thoughts around here.
Yeah, such an immediate powertrain. I love that. It's an 8-speed?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't screw on with something stupid like a dual clutch or anything like that. It's just a good old proper 8-speed auto, which, as we know, is the proper amount of gears.
It is. It's funny, this transmission, it really sharpens up in Sport Plus, and it really sharpens up when you're towards the top of the rev range.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a total slush box when you're in, like, normal mode around
which is what
town.
you want.
It's just like, yeah.
All right. So, okay, no comfort, but we have normal.
You have eco to the left. Yeah.
AKA Charlie mode.
Charlie mode, that's right. Yeah, so.
Cool car.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I'm trying to think of things that this is good.
What does that license plate mean? Does that mean I'm slow around roundabouts?
It means you are shit.
You
but they couldn't fit a T. You're shit, but they couldn't fit a T. Worth mentioning, and we haven't done this yet, I don't know how, still has a CD player.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah. Well, Lexus was the last brand to have a tape player in any car.
So they're probably the last to have the cassette player as well.
Did the huge drivetrain hump bother your foot at all?
There's no drivetrain hump because this is rear-wheel drive.
Well, there's still a big hump of something right
Yeah,
here.
but you get the big hump isn't an all-wheel drive car.
I know, but it's still in the way. The room between this and the gas pedal is like that.
Well, also the way that the dashboard is designed, and this is kind of what bothered me on the road trip, is it's too big. It's you have it gets a little cramped in the driver's compartment.
Yeah,
with this car.
I can see that.
And the IS has always been a little bit smaller than like the 3 Series and the A4 and the C Class. So like you have to expect that a little bit. But I was, after about an hour and a half, I was kind of like, okay, I need to move my legs somewhere.
Yeah.
And also, believe it or not, the seat, I was a little fatigued in the seat.
Really?
But it has lumbar adjustment. So once I got the lumbar all the way adjusted out,
Yeah.
I was a little bit better.
Can you dial back the bolstering, or is it fixed? Because the bolstering is a bit tight.
It's fixed.
If you were a larger individual, that might be tough.
Yeah. But I don't mind the touchpad. I like that it has a clock. That's very classy. The red plastic, it's okay. Would have been nice to have some sort of leather right there.
The steering ratio is a bit lazy. Like, you really got to apply a lot of turning.
All of the inputs are a bit lazy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that you have to kind of expect it on.
Yeah.
For one, a Lexus, but also a Lexus that isn't a full F car.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that
I kind of like it.
this car feels unapologetically Lexus.
Yeah.
Because you can get a C63 with some hopped up 4-banger. You can get the M3 that's just freight train powerful and fast and still gets 35 miles per gallon. And all the computers and digitalized and tech and everything, but this feels like a Lexus.
Yes.
And I guess I was comparing it to M3 and C63. It really wouldn't be. It'd be more like C43
and M340i. Yeah.
They're both more powerful. Maybe not on paper, but I bet you the M340i, even though on paper is much slower.
It would destroy this in a drag race.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. But I almost don't care.
I don't care either, because I'd have this.
Yeah.
Because this has so much more character. It
totally does.
It's such a unique car in this segment.
Yes.
I mean, of course, because it has an NAV8, but also just because, like you said, it's unapologetically a Lexus, and it's lazy, and it's cozy, and it's floaty, and it absolutely screams at 7250.
You know what else would be kind of cool? If you went out on a first date with a man or a woman, and you were a car person like we are, and you owned an M340i, and you went out on that date, and your date was like, oh wow, great BMW or whatever. You'd know nothing about that person. You'd be like, oh great, they're just some like clout chaser or whatever.
Yeah.
If you showed up to a first date with this, and they said, I really like that Lexus IS.
Yeah.
It'd be marriage right there. You'd have to marry them.
That's right.
That'd be the perfect individual.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of compliments in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru.
Oh.
Three of the workers said, wow, that's a beautiful car.
Really? Well, that's a bit cheating, because Chick-fil-A is like, S-tier service.
That's true. They were all high school students, I think.
They probably all knew that this was a Lexus IS500 and makes 473 horsepower.
They said, oh, that's an IS500.
Wow.
Yeah. So one of them knew what they were talking about. But
It's a car for Chick-fil-A employees.
I'm sure Toyota would love that. I got a lot of compliments at Chick-fil-A and at the performance driving school in the parking lot.
Oh,
everyone was like, oh my God, that's so sick. Like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I like the mirrors. I like how they're two different
this is a beautiful car.
Yeah.
Everything about this car is gorgeous.
Speedy little prop line.
Yeah.
And I like the Lexus badging on the brake calipers as well. Yeah. Very cool car, Lexus. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to rip it around a little bit. Thank you to Chris for driving it a lot and sharing his thoughts. I'm a bit bummed I won't spend much time with it, but I offset that with some time in the BMW Z4, which we'll be reviewing next. And thank you all for watching, and we will see you on the next one. We are Paris and Nicole with Daily Motor, and as always, 5-liter V8 on.
We're very sporty Paris and Nicole today.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.